Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro condemned the seizure of a Venezuelan government's plane by the United States and called it a robbery. The government of Guyana saved Exxonmobil Guyana Limited the payment of $197 billion in taxes during the past 2 years. And Palestinian authorities reported at least 40 dead and over 60 wounded after the Israeli forces attacked a camp located in a designated safe area of near Yunis, south of the Gaza Strip. Hello and welcome to From the South. I'm Alejandra Garcia from teleSUR studios in Havana, Cuba. We begin with the news. Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro condemned the seizure of a Venezuelan government's plane by the United States in complicity with the Dominican Republic administration. The Bolivarian leader informed he talked with the Dominican Republic President Luis Abinader to return the plane to Venezuela after what he described as a robbery by the United States and the Dominican Republic governments. Maduro also sentenced that the people of the Dominican Republic will settle their accounts with its president, whom he called a thief who responds to the interest of the United States imperialism.
I am very much looking forward to tonight's debate. I am almost going there. Otherwise they would have stolen my plane in the Dominican Republic. I would have gone there. They left me without a plane. The thief of the president of the Dominican Republic, Abinader, who is a bandit, a thief. The people of the Dominican Republic will give him his bill in due time. Do not give me your little face if I did not go. I talked to him enough. Many times we talked, many times, face to face, so I cannot go to the debate.
On the other hand, the Venezuelan head of state celebrated that former President Donald Trump has acknowledged that the sanctions imposed on the country were a big mistake for the U.S. economy.
But Donald Trump has recognized that the sanctions are a mistake, that they weaken the currency, the dollar, they weaken the economy of the United States. The sanctions against Venezuela were a shot in the foot that the United States gave itself. The times of imperialism, threats, blockade and sanctions are over. They cannot return to Venezuela, nor to any country in Latin America and the Caribbean. We were able to face the 930 sanctions. We were able to neutralize them, and Venezuela is already on the upswing. And nothing and no one is going to stop us in terms of economy.
In Venezuela, the World Anti-Fascist Congress is being held from September 10th to 11th, a conference that gathers more than 200 delegates from 95 countries around the world in support of the fight against imperialism, colonialism, and fascism. Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro announced the event by expressing his firm commitment to combat fascism and highlighting the importance of implementing laws that protect the population from this type of dangerous ideologies. Precisely in this regard, the president applauded the initiative of the National Assembly to debate an anti-fascist law. The Congress is an important space for debate and reflection to continue strengthening the fight against the extremist ideology and provides a chance to join the efforts at the international level in defense of democratic and humanitarian values. Precisely to kick off the World Anti-Fascist Congress, the Venezuelan Vice President Delcy Rodriguez held an inaugural conference on fascism, neo-fascism, and similar expressions in the national and global context. In the presence of representatives from more than 95 countries, Rodriguez recalled the nation's historical fight against fascism, as the Venezuelan people have faced coup d'etat attempts, economic blockades, and coercive measures led by right-wing fascists and backed by foreign imperialist powers. Furthermore, Rodriguez highlighted that the latest of these attempts occurred during the July 28th elections, when the far right tried to legitimize the victory in the polls of President Nicolas Maduro.
So the fascism is not new, a new phenomenon. It was experienced on the people of the South in the dictatorships. So we have met with fascism, we have suffered fascism, and we know that the Venezuelan people has been facing uh, actions which we have to admire, because we have to face coup d'etats, assassination attempts, imperialist invasions, economic wars, economic blockades, and most recently, some of you were here for the electoral process on July 28th. And the plan was already set. We have talked that we have mentioned that uh, it was happening. It was about to happen because we knew that they wouldn't recognize the victory of President-elect Nicolás Maduro. And so, because when we ratified the victory of President Nicolás Maduro, we ratified our peace, our sovereignty.
Also, during the inaugural conference of the World Anti-Fascist Congress, Venezuelan Vice President Delcy Rodriguez asked for a round of applause for the resilience of Palestinian people in the fight against fascism.
I know that Venezuela, as well as Venezuela, is confronting an expression of far-right fascism. I am aware that in other regions of the world there have been similar situations, symbolic situations, full of deep reflection, and I would like to ask a minute of applause for the Palestinian people, which is the most outstanding expression of a resilient people in front of fascism, a people that never surrenders. The Palestinian people inspires the struggles of humanity, and how in front of us the coup-mongering media outlets promote and boost violence, death, hate, to an extent that we as human beings as human beings don't understand, because as it had happened in all countries of the world are raising their voices for defending the injustices on the Palestinian people. Long live Palestine, and thank you very much, brothers and sisters.
Also, the President of the National Assembly, Jorge Rodriguez, offered statements during the World Anti-Fascist Congress being held in Caracas, the capital, from September 10th to 11th. During his remarks, Rodriguez referred to the psychological war Venezuela has been subjected to in the past weeks, and assured fascism is a political expression of the crisis suffered by capitalism, and it's manifested today in social media and space that allows the spread of hatred with the complicity of Western powers, who are the owners of the biggest technological and media emporiums. Fear and repression are two fundamental characteristics of the working class living under neo-fascist policies, a reality that Venezuela is fighting against for it never to settle in the country despite the ultra-right's attempts, he said. During the World Congress Against Fascism, the President of the National Assembly of Venezuela, Jorge Rodriguez, stated that Venezuela has become the epicenter of the fight against fascism in the world.
But always that this happens, at least one that raises his voice against fascism, humanity has an opportunity. And that is why I feel so pleased that these important people gathered here to discuss about fascism. Now, what is the danger we're fighting in a moment like this we're living? The danger we're facing is that these three owners of social media that try to become the owners of the planet and the planet's economy, and we have to say it like this: Venezuela is today the center of the fight against fascism in the world.
Let's take a short break, but remember you can join us on TikTok at teleSUR English, where you'll find news in different formats, news updates and more. We'll be right back. Stay with us. Welcome back. The government of Guyana saved Exxonmobil Guyana Limited the payment of $197 billion in taxes during the past 2 years. According to the oil giant's 2023 annual report, cited by Guyana's Cater News, the Guyanese government paid the amount on behalf of the Guyana Revenue Authority. The company explained in the report that while it is subject to Guyana's income tax laws, the taxes on the company's operation are paid by the government rather than the company itself. The tax exception is reportedly part of what is considered a loop-side production sharing agreement that Guyana's coalition government signed with the U.S. oil giant in 2016, a move that observers have deemed contrary to the will and interest of the Guyanese people. Exxon is the 45% stake operator in the 6.6 million acre oil Stradbroke block of Guyana's Atlantic coast and has been instrumental in the Guyanese government's stance against the Venezuelan sovereignty. The Republic of Abkhazia on Tuesday sent a letter to the Republic of Nicaragua on the occasion of the 15th anniversary of the establishment of diplomatic relations between the two countries. The letter was sent by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of the Asian country, in which it emphasizes that September 10, 2009 is a truly significant day in the modern history of the Republic of Abkhazia. It further notes that the establishment of diplomatic relations between the Republic of Abkhazia and the Republic of Nicaragua on that day was a pledge of the development of friendly and cooperative relations between the two peoples and states. The letter also emphasized that the Republic of Abkhazia is ready to contribute in every possible way to further develop the whole complex of mutually beneficial strategic partnership of interstate cooperation for the benefit of its brotherly peoples. In the western United States, wildfires fueled by soaring temperatures have scorched thousands of acres, forcing hundreds of families to flee. A blaze burning out of control near Los Angeles sparked mandatory evacuations as it tore through swaths of tinder-dry California countryside around popular tourist spots. The so-called line fire erupted on Thursday to the east of the city and exploded over the weekend, consuming more than 20,000 acres and threatening tens of thousands of homes and other buildings. Mandatory evacuation orders have been imposed and major roads shuttered as more than 1,700 firefighters battled to contain the fast-moving flames. Flood water from an overflowing dam has destroyed dozens of houses in the city of Maiduguri in northeast Nigeria, with emergency officials fearing the situation could get worse. The floods have been considered by the United Nations Refugee Agency in Nigeria as the city's worst in 30 years. The waters also sacked the city's post office and main zoo, with authorities warning that deadly animals have been washed away into the communities. Authorities also said forecasts didn't prepare the emergency workers for the extent of the flooding, while also blaming the climate change for the disaster. As of September 3rd, floods have killed at least 201 people and displaced around 225,000 more, mainly in the northern region.
Last 3 days, we have over 150,000 individuals with over 23,000 households affected. But as it is, during that time, we had only 2 locations affected. But as it is today, we have over 10 locations affected. So we are sure the figure will be much over 200,000 individuals.
There is difference. This is more than the one that we are seeing before. This flooding, we never see that kind of flooding. This is the first time for me to see that flooding. The time that we see at that area before, at that custom Kofabu area, it's not like this. As of now, you see me, I am inside water and staying like this.
In parts of Central and West Africa, heavy flooding caused by an unusually intense rainy season has unleashed a humanitarian crisis that has resulted in the death of hundreds of people and thousands of displaced. The United Nations Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs has reported that weeks of torrential rains in Chad have left 341 people dead and some 1.5 million affected since July. The flooding has hit all of the country's 23 provinces, where 164,000 houses have been destroyed, 66,700 heads of cattle lost, with 640,000 acres of field ruined. According to the United Nations Refugee Agency, refugee communities in the east of the country are more vulnerable, with 40,000 refugees affected by the catastrophe.
Now you've seen uninhabited houses yourself, the people aren't even there. The children and women have gone outside. People are suffering in these neighborhoods. You see, the boatmen are now operating in an area like a water village. They're using their pirogues in a capital of a big country like Chad, an oil country, and they haven't even considered making it a showcase for Africa. We're asking the government and people of goodwill to help us until the river water drainage.
Moroccan authorities look for survivors in the Tara province following heavy rains and flooding that left 8 people killed and 4 others missing. The ministry said that 10 of the fatal victims died in Tara province and 3 in El Rashidia, including a Canadian and a Peruvian. It added that 2 others lost their lives in Sinit, 2 in danger, including a Spanish national, and 1 died in Taroudant. It did not specify whether the foreign nationals were residents in Morocco or visitors. The massive rainfall is considered exceptional as the volume of rainfall recorded in 2 days is equivalent to what these regions normally experience during an entire year. We have a second short break coming up, but before we invite you to visit our YouTube channel at teleSUR English, that you'll be able to rewatch our interviews, top stories, special broadcastings and more. Hit the subscribe button and activate the notification bell to stay up to date on the world's most recent events. Final short break, don't go away. Welcome back to From the South. Palestinian authorities reported at least 40 dead and over 60 wounded after the Israeli forces attacked a camp located in a designated safe area near Han Yunis, south of the Gaza Strip. According to the civil defense in Gaza, the attack buried several families under the sand and that the rescue teams lacked the machinery and tools to help them. The Israeli regime justified the fighter jets' attacks by indicating the alleged presence of members of the Palestinian resistance movement Hamas in the area. The Gazans who were in the camp claimed that the occupation had declared these territories as safe zones and had sent them there from various parts of the Gaza Strip. In Palestine, once again, the Israeli army commits massacres on the innocent civilian population of the Gaza Strip. Our colleague Huda Hegazi tells us the details.
Once again, the Israeli army commits massacres and mass atrocities against the innocent civilian population here on the Gaza Strip. At this moment, I am in the area of Amawasi in Yunis. In this place that has been bombed in the early hours of the morning by the Israeli army, this area, which supposedly the area of Amawasi, a humanitarian and safe area where hundreds and thousands of Gazatis were evacuated. And unfortunately, this intense bombing has ended the life of more than 40 Gazatis and the injury of about 60 more. Even as we can see through our screens the large holes that have caused these bombings, we are talking about 5 missiles that have fallen in this area, causing these holes more than 20 meters deep. And even according to the civil defense bodies, according to the firefighters in this area, some entire families are still under these piles of sand. missing. There are also more than 20 tent shops that there is not even a trace of them because they have been buried under the rubble and piles of sand. It is not the first time that Israel has bombed this area of Amawasi, but this type of massacre continues to occur. This massacre could be considered one of the largest since the beginning of this war, since we're talking about 40 people who have died in this bombing. Even the civil defense body have assured that the entire families are buried under the sand and that it will be very difficult to remove them due to the lack of mechanism and due to the lack of equipment here in the Gaza Strip. From here, the Gazetis assured that they do not know where to go. The areas that are supposedly safe are being attacked in the most atrocious way by the Israeli army. From here, a message is being sent, especially to the free countries of the world, that they must stop these massacres that Israel is continuously committing here on the Gaza Strip.
The President of China, Xi Jinping, urged efforts to achieve solid progress towards the strategic goal of making the country a leader in education. During the National Education Conference held in Beijing, the Chinese leader pointed out that this goal will boost China's efforts to build up and promote national revitalization. He further described the building of a leading country in education as a complex and systematic effort, which requires focusing on the fundamental tasks of fostering virtue. Xi Jinping stressed the need to develop high-quality and balanced mandatory education to narrow the gaps between urban and rural areas, regions, schools, and social groups. The European Commission described Hungary's threats to send irregular migrants to Brussels as unacceptable and warned that it will not hesitate to apply the necessary measures against Budapest. The controversy arose after statements made by the Hungarian Interior Minister Benz Redvári in front of a dozen buses allegedly ready to send migrants to Brussels. Redvári stated that if the European Union wants to force Hungary to let illegal migrants, then Budapest will give them a free one-way ticket to Brussels. The European Commission's chief spokesman Eric Mamer rejected Budapest's warnings, claiming that it contravenes the principles of loyal cooperation with the other member states and with the institutions of the European Union. We have come to the end of this news brief, but you can find these and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net and join us on social media, Facebook, X, Instagram, Telegram and TikTok. For TeleSUR English, I'm Alejandra Garcia. Thank you for watching.